Welcome back to another episode of the 365 podcast. Hope you guys have been good. Hope you guys have been having a productive New Year's. And I hope you guys are ticking off these goals and working towards it on a daily basis. So yeah, man, once again, I appreciate the support as always. We're currently number 26 on the UK education charts. And, for me personally, coming from, my journey and everything, that's kind of big to me as well, because I try not to get excited within what's happening, but when your podcast is above people that you grew up listening to, you know what I'm saying? It's a bit mad. But yeah, keep working, keep staying productive and keep staying consistent with it. And that top 10 should be ours by the end of the year. It wouldn't be possible without you guys listening and you tuning in. So just want to say a big shout out and appreciation to everyone. And for anyone that's listening for the first time, welcome to the 365 podcast. And I hope you can drop a follow and leave a rating after this as well. So yeah, man, gonna get straight into the agenda for today. And today's one, the title is how you can use maths to fix your life. And I know you're probably wondering, what are you talking about? How do you use maths to fix your life? I always say this: input equals output. Whatever I put in will only result in what I get out. And I think there's a bit of delusion with people wanting to get something out but not actually knowing how much input they need to put in to get what they want out. And that is where maths comes in place. The figures and the stuff you need to do, you need to calculate backwards from where you want to end up. I was speaking to a friend of mine and we got into a conversation and he was talking about he needs to get to 10k per month through his marketing agency. And I said to him, okay, cool, so how much outreach are you doing in a day? And he said, I'm just messaging like 20 people every day. I'm like, okay, cool. 20 times 30, that's 600 people in a month. And I said, do you consistently message people every day? He said, nah, just a few days. So how many days in a week? Probably like 3 days in a week, I message 20 people. So in a week, I'm getting like roughly 50 to 60. I said, okay, so over a whole month, 200 people that you're messaging. And he's like, yeah. So if we're going off 200 people, how many people reply? Say roughly around 10%. Okay, cool. So out of that 200 people, only 20 people reply. So how many people actually open a meeting? Another 10%, sometimes 20%. So we're at 2 to 4 people replying. How much is the service? The service is at 2k. So even with the number of outreach, if everything goes well and those 10% out of the 200 people and the 20 people and the 2 people sign and they give you 2k per month, you're only making 4k per month. You see where the problem is? People forget how much input needs to go in to get an actual result. People underestimate how much repetition for them to actually just taste just 50% of what they need. And everything seems pretty, it seems so possible. Like even I said in a previous episode, you just need 5 people to pay 2k to make 10k a month. It sounds easy, but it's not. It's very simple, but it's hard to do. And I feel like a lot of people go into business and entrepreneurship and they look at their life and they want to change something about their life, but they don't realize how much input needs to go in. And the reason you're not realizing how much input needs to go in is because you're not doing the calculations. You just throw stuff out there and you don't really sit down and think, okay, cool, so what needs to actually get done for me to be able to achieve these goals that I've set out for myself? Clarity is so important when it comes to this whole journey. Without clarity, you don't know what's happening. You need clarity to know where you're going. And a lot of people don't actually have clarity on what they're doing. They just make goals off the top of their head. They don't sit down and actually spend time with themselves and figure out what they want to do and why they want to do it. Because once you get clarity on what you want to do, it's all about calculations and it's all about putting numbers down and figuring out what needs to go where and what needs to come first and how much reps you need to take for this to happen. I feel like a lot of people just throw goals around because it sounds good and they want to make themselves feel like, I'm actually putting stuff together, when in actual reality, you've not done the calculations. And once you realize the calculation and you've done the calculation, then you would realize how much work you have to put in. And I feel like once you understand the amount of work you need to put in, you now keep yourself accountable of putting that work in every day. You know, how much content do you need to post? How many podcast episodes do you need to post? How much videos do you need to film? When do you need to film them by? All of this comes from doing calculations, and it comes from you sitting down, spending time with yourself and actually thinking, what needs to go where? What's the deadline for this? I need to do this week, next week, that week, this week. It needs to be systematic with the goals you're setting and the steps you're going to take within your daily endeavors to achieve these targets you set out for yourself. And the only way you can do that is by sitting down and doing the calculations. Input equals output. It just is what it is. 2 + 2 = 4. You're not going to get to 4 until you do the 2 adding to the 2. You just need to, everything needs to add up. And I feel like that's the problem. People make goals and set themselves targets, but they don't calculate what needs to get done. And that's how you just make just these wishes, but nothing's getting done because you don't have a calculation. You don't have a step-by-step. You don't know how much outreach you need to do every day. You don't know how much cold calls you need to do every day. You don't know how many hours you're spending doing these things. Input equals output. The more you do, the more you get out. It is that simple. And until you actually sit down and put maths into the equation and become systematic about the moves you're making, you're going to be in the same position. You know, reach out to 100 people a day, get 10% of that, 10 people respond. 10% of that means one person is interested. Okay, now you've got one person for that day. You just need to do that 10 more times for the month. So you give yourself more chances by doing it for 30 days and you know you'll get 10 people. All you need is 10 days of one person saying yes. You know? That's the way I look at it. The more you put in, the more you will get out. It's just a numbers game. It's nothing less, it's nothing more. That's all it is. The more hours you put in, the more reps you put in, the more time you put in, the more effort you put in, the more strategizing you put in, the more action you put in, the more planning you put in. Everything's about putting in more. You just need to put in more and you will get out more. That's all it is. You know? Cold calling, cold emails, cold outreach, cold Instagram DMs. Film more content, upload more content, edit it in different formats, try different ways, caption it in different ways, try different edits, edit in different styles. It's all about doing more. And the more you put in, the more you will get out. I promise you, that's all it is. And the funny thing with it is, the more you plan certain things, and once you have a plan in place and you know what the figures are, you feel the fear of failure less because you're not scared of failing because you understand the steps you need to take. So the goal doesn't actually seem that big because you've broken it down with numbers and maths. You need to break these stuff down. And I know initially I was talking about quarterly goals and monthly goals, but in actual reality, you need to actually have the specific numbers and specific metrics to calculate these goals. That's the only way we're going to achieve all these things we've set out to. Input equals output. Think of calculating everything. How many hours do I need to put in? You know, how many runs do I need to do? What times do I need to get for these runs? How many kilometers per hour do I need to do 1 kilometer in? So how am I going to go forward, move backwards, increase the time, reduce the time, increase the speed, reduce the speed, message more people, message 1,000 people every week, whatever it is, figure it out and work out the maths behind it. Don't just throw stuff around. You need to be strategic with the way you're actually maneuvering. And the only way you can do that is by calculating. It's all maths. This thing's a big game. You need to gamify life. You need to just think of it as just a big fat game. It's all a big game. Everything's numbers. Everything is numbers. And I think once you realize that, you understand, I just need to calculate. I need to sit down and map out and calculate what I'm doing. That's all it is. And once you do that, you can see what you're doing in front of you, and that way you're not scared of stuff not working out, because the numbers add up. And once the numbers add up, you can now be more accountable, and now it's on you to be disciplined. But even when you're not disciplined, you don't beat yourself up for it, because you know that the numbers add up. So now you're a bit more accountable, because if it doesn't work, it means you didn't do the work. So it's all about numbers. That's all it is. That's all it is. Do the calculation, figure out what needs to get done, how long you need to do what for, how many of whatever you need to do of. Do you need to do every day, every week, every month, every year? And that's all it is. Think, the more you put in, the more you get out. It is that simple. 2 + 2 = 4. There's no other way around it. You're not going to get 4 by trying to go any other way. Yes, there's other ways to get to 4, but the work still has to get done to get to 4. 2 + 2 = 4. Input equals output. Use maths and calculate whatever you need to do. Break it down into smaller chunks and move in that direction. That way, you have less fear of failure, because you understand it adds up. That's it for me for this episode. Hope you guys got some value from that. Once again, links in the bio. There's some free resources there for you guys. Subscribe to the email listing as well. We'll be sending out some free gems as well on there. And yeah, catch you guys in the next one. And make sure you guys have a good week this week, man. Let's get it.